My name is Dr. Kelly D. Simone, and we're going to talk about vision today, which is my favorite topic. I'm a resident of Awatuki and an owner of two local businesses, Priority, which is celebrated their 30th year last year. So we've, been a member of the community of Awatuki for many, many years. And the second business is a branch of iPriority. It's called iPriority Revision, rehabilitation, and enhancement of your
Where's my
vision.
volume? I still can't hear. Should be. Right? No. No. Oh, that's me and you. You want to hear? I want to hear.
Marie, a lot of people can't hear.
I'm back.
Sorry, that was my fault. I was trying to block out the background on everybody else. Sorry.
Okay, I'm back, and can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, before I start, and I can talk about a number of things, what I'd like to do is go around the group and see and if anybody has any specific questions they would like to know about vision. Okay.
Do you expand or expound on macular degeneration? My mother had it and went blind with it.
Okay, anything else?
Yeah. Kelly, do the vitamins really help that Dr. Page prescribed to me for macular?
We'll get into that. Okay, next.
What about glaucoma and its effects on vision? My grandmother had it, and I always worry maybe I'll get it myself.
Okay, anybody else?
So it sounds like hereditary in general, if that's, something that is or isn't a thing.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that a little bit and what we can do about it. Anybody else have any questions about vision?
I understand there's maybe some exercises or things we should be from a prevention, staying healthy standpoint with our eyes.
Okay, anybody else? Nobody has any questions about glasses? We're all wearing them.
It's just part of life, I think.
Okay, all right. I always like to know what those questions are because, I want to make sure I hit your questions as we talk and make this more personal for you. I'm going to just delve right in. Vision is very important to me. More of your brain space is devoted to vision than any other activity that you do. You've probably have all seen back in elementary school the basic image of, that if you take the top of the head off, you have eyeballs and the optic nerve, it crosses in the middle. Does this sound familiar? And then the two lines go to the back of the head, right? Have you ever seen that? It's probably been a lot of years, but that's your basic visual pathway. And it's very important, but that is only one of the pathways. There are 300-ish pathways that connect through our brain. So when light comes through the eyeballs, it has to get processed connected with your memory centers, short-term, long-term. It has to be connected with your balance centers, your language centers, your ability to know where you are in space and where everything else is. So it is a big deal. And when there's a quote from an optometrist that says, when vision works, it guides and leads everything you do. When it doesn't work, it interferes with everything you do. Okay, so I saw, you know, quite a few of these, you're wearing glasses, and so there's a clue to me that you've probably had an eye exam at least once in your lifetime, right? Raise your hand, everybody had an eye exam at least once. And 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 you're probably have all heard the words 2020 before. Is that correct?
Yes.
Does anyone have an understanding of what that actually means?
20 feet, you can see clearly 20 feet away or some such as that.
Very good. Yes, that's basically what it means. What I usually hear from the crowd is that means you have perfect vision. The top number is 20 feet. The bottom number represents a font size that was determined sometime in the 1800s. It has kind of stuck as the standard, and you will see this test being done, certainly in the eye doctor, but the Department of Motor Vehicles looks at your visual acuity, the pediatrician, all different doctors, and it is a flight surgeons, you know, for people who are getting their physical to be a pilot. They're really emphasizing this number, but it's kind of silly. When you do the test, you are sitting completely still. The chart is completely still. The room lighting is controlled. The font is definitely bold and distinguishable. What in life is exactly like that? Not very much. And so it's kind of a silly number, but we all hang our hat on it, and we use that information, and it is a great tool. But basically 2020 is not enough. And there's the topic of that's the title of my conversation. 2020 is not enough. Now, humans have some basic visual skills that need to occur without any effort. All right. So let's go through that list. It's pretty important to survive in our environment that we see well far away. Sounds reasonable, right? Also, very important for humans that we have the ability to see well up close. Okay? So if you cannot see well far away or up close, there are easy fixes for that. For the most part, you know, most people can benefit from using some glasses. I will talk about the people who cannot benefit from that in a few moments. All right, so eyes should have the ability to move. Sound reasonable? Okay, so we have two kinds of eye movements. We have slow eye movements. They're called pursuits. So I don't know if you can see my eyes, but I'm going to follow my finger, and it's as if I'm watching a fly or something in front of me. That's called a slow eye movement. There are also fast eye movements, which are called saccades or saccades, depending on which continent you're from. And those are, you know, for example, I'm going to jump between my two fingers. I don't know if you can see my eyes move back and forth. When you drive your car, you look at your rear view mirror, you look at your side mirror, your eyes move back and forth, side to side. Your whole head doesn't go, although we've seen those drivers, have we not? When you're reading, it's extremely important to have fast eye movements, because we jump to word. At the end of the line, you do a whoosh, swing to the beginning of the next line, jump, swing back and forth. So fast eye movements are very, very important for our current functionality. Eyes should be able to work together. Sound reasonable? And they should both point to the same thing. So we've all seen in our community people whose eyes do not to the place. They may have a crossed eye, or you may see somebody whose eye is sort of wandering out there to the side. And those are obvious. But there are lots of people who have eyes that don't line up, and it's not very obvious, especially when they're off just a little bit up and down. You can't see it when you look at them, but they are having multiple symptoms. So I should point to the same place. They should also be able to smoothly track in space. That means I could look right here at my finger close to my face, and I could also look all the way across a football field and anywhere in between, and they go together and track through space. Sound reasonable? In addition, a person should be able to understand what they're looking at, where it is, how far away it is. That's your depth perception. They should be able to label it and communicate information about it, connect with your memory centers and the what it is system. And we need to be able to move, okay? We need to be able to move throughout our environment to find things and get away from danger, or just find the right article in the grocery store. Whatever it is, we need to be able to move, do all that at the same time, okay? Now, every eye doctor, it doesn't matter who you see, we all have the same toolbox, okay? What's our toolbox? Our toolbox is glasses and contacts, medications, surgeries, and vision therapy. That is the whole toolbox. And I am a specialist in vision therapy. There are very few of us. You are very fortunate that I'm sitting here in your own neighborhood because in the state, there's less than a dozen of us in the entire state. And as you go international, the numbers, of course, become larger, but we're still dealing with less than 10,000 people in the entire world who practice this specialty. So that makes, it makes it quite unique. I've done it for more than 30 years. All right. In 2018, let me back up for a moment. I was the owner of Eye Priority. I'm just giving you a little bit of background again, and practicing general optometry. So glasses, contacts, glaucoma, cataracts, dry eyes, all the questions you've mentioned, macular degeneration, and I always did my specialty. In 2018, I completely separated, and I only do this specialty now. All right. I have wonderful doctors that I can refer you to at Eye Priority if you have any needs or questions, but basically I am pretty much working in full-time as in my specialty. Now, who are the people I see? Let's talk about that. Historically, vision therapy was done with children. It was really more about developing developing their vision and guiding and leading them so that they had full use of the basic things that I mentioned. Certainly, we work with people who have lazy eye. Have you ever heard of lazy eye? Do you have an understanding of what that means? So lazy eye, it kind of has two meanings in the general public. It can sometimes it's referred to as the person whose eyes cross in. But often it is the person who looks completely normal, but one eye can see and the other one cannot. Okay? And so lazy eye, crossed eyes, as I mentioned, learning problems, reading problems. When vision isn't developed correctly, and there's no magic bullet that says at exactly 5, when you're ready to enter school, every part will be ready to go. There really isn't. There is no state law demanding that all kids are examined before kindergarten. There are suggestions that happen, but it doesn't always happen. And if you enter into something before your parts are ready or you're developed for it, there can be some struggles and difficulties. So doing vision therapy can help close those gaps, kind of get the system working and primed and ready to go so that the educational system can actually create some positive outcomes. So historically, we were dealing mostly with children. However, I now see probably more adults than I do children. As we are, first of all, if you didn't fix it as a kid, it's going to show its face now. One. Number two, adults have some unfortunate things happen. Concussions, brain tumors, falls, and they are desperate to gain back the ability to read comfortably and to drive. They want to continue driving. It's a big deal, okay? You probably have friends and family or somebody you know in your neighborhood that has suffered a stroke sometime in their life. And you probably, is that true? Has anyone ever seen this in the course of their world, right? And they have no ability, they can't talk, or they're in a wheelchair, and then you see them a few months later and all of a sudden they can talk and they're out of their wheelchair. Because if we have a brain, there's something called neuroplasticity. You can learn to do things. And so vision therapy is near and dear to my heart. I have, as I mentioned, an expertise in it, and I love it. I see. Now, I talked about the those type of cases. There are also cases where people just want to get better. Okay, so hopefully that's the crowd we have right here. Everyone just wants to get better, and so enhancement is certainly for adults. I mean, we could all, would anybody complain if they had an easier time driving and parking? No, that's great. But there's also sports, all right? Now, we're all athletic in some way. Some of us run, yoga, play tennis, but basically we're computer jockeys, okay? Right? We've all had to learn how to Zoom and deal with all these new functions with our computer, and it can create some eye strain. Has anybody experienced any eye strain from the additional amount of Zooms and computer work? Okay? All right, so I'm going to go through some bullets on, just give you a little bit of information so you know more. I'll talk about some of your questions here. So let's go back to the optometry toolbox, and we have glasses and contact lenses. All right, so let's go over some things that you may know, or hopefully you'll all learn something new. There are different kinds of lenses. All right, lenses. Okay. Has anyone ever heard of a progressive lens? Probably everybody here has heard of that. A progressive lens, in the old days, we used the word bifocals, right? And the lens had a distance portion on the top and a line and a reading portion on the bottom. Well, sometime in the 80s, progressives came out, and there's no line on your glasses, and it progresses from your distance to the reading part in a number of different steps. That's where the word progressive comes from. Progressives are fabulous for adults, of children as well, who have difficulty seeing up close, right? So we wear a prescription, we can still maintain our beautiful distance vision, and then the lens progresses and we have the ability to see up close again. Yay. Now, it's kind of the lens that you want for one pair to try to do everything, but it does not do everything, okay? Has anybody had any difficulties with their progressive over the years? Okay, it takes a while to get used to them, and they're not all created equal. There are multiple different brands and manufacturers, and they all have different features. But one of the things that I'm using right now, I found, and I have my progressive here, this is what I found with the need for multiple Zoom hours. I currently do 6 hours a week in Zoom. And this is what happens when you wear your progressive. You put your progressive on and you end up sitting like this with your chin up to try to see the screen clearly. Or you push yourself back, or you just can't get it right. Well, I'm currently using my computer design, which is a lens that is specifically made for looking straight ahead at your computer. The center, the entire center of the lens is set up so that I can see the computer well, and I can see multiple monitors well. I can see across the room. If I dip my chin down, I have a small window of prescription to talk to the person that comes into my office, or get up and walk to the printer. And the bottom of the lens is stronger so that I can pick up teeny tiny stuff and read the small print. So for anybody working in a home office, doing hours of Zoom, I highly recommend a second pair of glasses that are set up for that purpose as well. They're called computer designs, and they have multiple custom options. Well, actually there's 3. That's the multiple 3. But the 3 options would be how far away you need to see on the top. Is it just a 4-foot office? Do you just need to see the wall? Is it a 6-foot range? Do you have more of a 10-foot range to see farther? So I always, in glasses, I always say that people need a minimum of 3 pairs of glasses. Who has 3 pairs of glasses here? Good. You need your everyday pair, right? Sylvia, great, saw you. You need your everyday pair. You need a backup pair of your everyday pair. You need prescription sunglasses. That's your basic 3. And then the 4th pair, which is, I really think I need to even adjust my idea and say we all need 4 pairs, because that's the computer pair. Even if you are 5 years old, they are having computer eye strain. 2020 and the Rona years, they're doing a lot of computer time and Zoom time. They're experiencing eye strain. So that's my spiel on glasses. Does anybody here want to know anything about contact lenses or bifocal contact lenses? They exist. They work. They're awesome. Personally, I have access to everything, right? I like to use them for social events and parties. Well, I haven't gone to many in the last 2 years, but they work and they're fabulous. Sometimes with multifocal or bifocal contact lenses, sometimes you do have to supplement with a reader for certain activities, especially if it's print that's very, very, very small. Now, talking about eye strain, there are a couple of things that you can do right now to help yourself feel better. Okay, this is sort of a for all humans. This is, pay attention, this is for all humans, simple things you can add to your life to feel better. One is called the 20-20 rule. Has anyone ever heard of this? Okay, the 20-20 rule. Every 20 minutes, take a 20-second break. Ideally, you look away at least 20 feet. Okay? It's the same thing you would do if you were typing all day and your hands and your elbows started to get sore. You'd do a stretch, right? Well, looking away from the screen, the book, the paper, the puzzle, whatever the thing is you're doing, you look away and that relaxes your focus. So 20/20 rule for all humans of every age, every 20 minutes, take a break. Has anybody sat down at their desk and next thing you know, like 4 hours went by? And you're like, wow. And you're thirsty, your eyes hurt, your back hurts, you feel terrible. So most of us have to set a timer so that you get into the rhythm of realizing when 20 minutes go by, okay? And so 3 times an hour, and unless you have it built in where your phone rings or this happens every 20 minutes, set a timer so that you know, okay? Optometrists are pretty good at 20 minutes because we get up and down and in and out of the exam room multiple times. So we usually know how to take breaks, but not always. So 20/20 rule. Now, has anybody heard about the effects of blue light on your vision? Okay. Well, that's what we're going to talk about next, which is another thing you can do and pass this information on to your friends and neighbors. Blue light is natural. It's from the visible spectrum of the sun, right? If you've seen a rainbow, you know that every color is represented, but you only see it in certain times where the conditions are correct. But every color is represented, and each color has a different frequency. Blue light is important because it tells your body when it's time to stay awake. All right, so we have blue, our awake system happens, our pineal gland, which is inside our brain, gets a signal, and we turn off production of melatonin. And that's how our body knows it's time to stay awake. And then when the sun goes down, imagine yourself hundreds of years ago where you were outside all the time. When the sun went down, that's when you sat and rested and went to bed. Well, in our modern society, we are constantly bombarded with light. LEDs, which is probably in everybody's home at this point, emit a certain amount of blue light, and screens emit blue light. All right, so we're all sitting here with the computer screen probably at least arm distance away from us. But where do people hold their cell phone when they look at their cell phone? Do they hold it arm's distance away? Next time you're out and about, and I used to, in restaurants, see, it would always shock me because I'd see 2-year-olds with like the phone right here in front of their face. All right, the phone emits blue light. It disrupts your rest patterns, it disrupts your sleep patterns. We know from history, people who don't sleep at night have more incidence of cancer and other mental health problems and nutritional and health problems. So protect yourself from blue light. This is what you're going to do. Very simply, on your computer, if it's a new one, sometimes in the settings, there are features to block the blue light. If it's an Apple product, it's called Night Shift. It might be called Twilight or Blue Light feature. Whatever it's called, turn it on. If you have an older system, then you're going to use something called, it's a free download called f.lux, flux, capital F, period, L-U-X. You can look it up. Sure. Question?
Do you do that during the day all the time or just at night?
Good question. It's definitely important for nighttime. I keep it on all day long. Okay. There's a range. So you can turn it from all the way filtered where it is, your screen is completely golden brown, to you can have just a little bit of protection. It's more of a gray color. So choose your setting how you like it. Okay, F.Lux. Now, on your phone, does anybody have Apple? Okay, so for an Apple product, do you have it nearby? Let's set your phones up now. So I want you to go into settings. And then you're going to scroll down till you see the word display and brightness. Did you find it? Okay, then you scroll down a little bit farther and you'll see something called night shift. Does anybody have it turned on? Turn it on. Okay, then you're going to follow the arrow on the right side. There's an arrow on the right side. Click that button and you're going to custom set it up. I custom set it up for 24 hours on mine. Okay, and you can see on the bottom of the screen there is, or once you're in the night shift mode, there's a color temperature on the bottom. Can you see that? Did everyone find that? And you can play with it and you can see what it looks like when you turn it all the way to the left. The screen turns a blue tint. And when you move it all the way to the right, it goes into a warmer brown tone. Just choose what you like. I keep it somewhere in the middle. And now you may have your phone as bright as you want. So it can be bright, you just want to block the blue feature. Okay? On Androids, it's very similar, but it's called blue light blocker. Okay? Any questions with that? Very important. If your job is such that you do sit 8 to 10 hours looking at your screen, you can also put the feature on your glasses. So anti-reflective coatings, I'm sure you've heard of those. The anti-reflective coatings, there is a special one that works mostly to absorb the blue light. That would be very important if you're having eye strain, if you're having sleep problems, if you've been really irritable and just want to get away from your computer screen. That is a very important thing to have both of them. Okay, pass that on. That's our public service announcement. You'll make a lot of people feel better by doing those small things. Now, in addition to, why do we also want to block the blue light? Well, the additional blue light, this is really, in the last 10 years is the first generations of kids that have grown up their entire life. They've had a phone in front of their face, right? My children were in their 20s. They're in their 20s. They were at least 12 before they had the phone in their face, right? But it's becoming more and more and more. And how old were, think about your life. How old were you before you had a phone all the time? Protecting from the blue light can be also protective for the macula. Somebody asked me about macular degeneration. Does anyone know what the macula is? Okay, the inside of the eyeball is filled with something called the retina. It's like the lining of the inside of the eyeball. And there is one spot on the map that sees well. It's called the macula. It's sort of like there's one capital in each state. Okay, one city is the capital. The macula is it. That is the spot where you have the sharpest, clearest vision. And usually there are hereditary factors that can contribute to the macula degenerating over time. And so just like any other body tissue, it needs nutrients, right? It needs blood supply that provides oxygen and nutrients. And then just like any other body part, there's waste that occurs. And that system gets interfered with, and the cells in the macula do not absorb nutrients, and they start to die. Once you lose it, it's gone. It does not come back. So what can we do to help keep your macula healthy is, number one, don't smoke. Smoking is a risk factor. Number two, protect yourself from UV light. Wear sunglasses when you're outdoors. Number three, pay attention to what you're putting into your body. 5 to 7 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. Okay, raise your hand if you do it. 5 to 7 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. Yay! Good for you. I don't. I take the pill. Okay. This is called MacuHealth, and there are other, and so it's not lining up with my feature on, but I have a pile of supplements here because somebody asked, are supplements really helpful? Well, supplements can be helpful, right? You're putting the necessary ingredients into your body to help maintain integrity of the tissue. MacuHealth is something that we sell here. There are other manufacturers, there are other brands. It has 3 things in it, 3 things that are very important. Lutein, zeaxanthin, mesozeaxanthin. Okay? Zinc. Has anyone ever heard of the supplement of zinc? Zinc is also something that is in multiple supplements for the eyes, but there are some genetic profiles that cannot have zinc. If they have it, it can accelerate the macular degeneration. And so there is a genetic test, boy, and I haven't really run one of these in probably, I don't even know how many years, more than 5, maybe longer. And so basically, because we don't know, I go for the simpler version of just supplementing with the lutein, mesozeaxanthin, and zeaxanthin. In the event there's some profiles that need zinc, but do the least harm. You don't know who needs it or who doesn't unless you test for it. Okay, there is a supplement here that I brought over for kids. It's called Screen Shield for teens. Why? Because they're using the computer more than all of you, and they're using the computer and their phone too close to their face, and we don't know what the long-term effects of that are. Okay, there is some hypothesis that they may have a higher risk of macular degeneration as they age. We don't know. There could be something else, but yes, we use supplements here. Now, glaucoma. Somebody wanted to know a little bit about glaucoma. I will say that is also a genetic, can have a family disposition or genetic disposition. It's very silent. You don't generally know you have glaucoma. And that is very important to maintain your annual comprehensive vision exam, so that is being screened. It's screened everywhere you go. It's the air puff test. Does everyone know what the air puff test is? Yes. Okay, so when you have glaucoma, what happens is you lose, so let's back up for a moment. Macular degeneration, when that occurs, you lose the center part of your vision. Okay, so if you hold your fingers up right here in the center part of your glasses, you can no longer see the screen, but you can still see all the stuff around you. That's macular degeneration. Okay, now when you have glaucoma, what happens there is you lose the outside. You lose your peripheral vision. Okay, and so if you out of the million spots that you have here, if you lost 2 right here, you might not notice, right? But if all of a sudden you lost 20,000 spots, you might start to notice. It's people who have glaucoma are completely functional, but they can have more difficulty at nighttime, especially navigating, because if you stand there and you just close your fingers down to a little tunnel like this and then try to walk around the room, you lose some of that out the periphery. So there is really no one thing that you can do to prevent it. It's just routine screenings and intervention and treatment as soon as possible if things are developing. Okay. Now, we talked a little bit about some things you can do right now. 20/20 vision, or the 20/20 rule. Take a break every 20 minutes. Protect yourself from blue light with those features. We talked a little bit about supplements. Vision therapy can be used in those cases of glaucoma or macular degeneration when a person is not functioning to their satisfaction of what they need to accomplish. So if you've lost your peripheral vision, you have to have excellent eye movements, don't you? You have to learn how to scan back and forth, learn your environment. You have to do something that is different than what you're used to. Similar to vision, physical therapy. If you've had a hip replacement, you go to physical therapy. It doesn't replace the new hip or the old hip. It just helps you be better in your function. And vision therapy is very similar. If there's something you can't do well and you need to do it, there are activities that can help that. So for example, glaucoma, we talked about that. You need to have really excellent eye movements. You need to learn how to reach for the chair and then sit in the chair instead of just sit down. Simple things that if we knew how to do, we would. Otherwise, we take a class like vision therapy to learn how to do it. Now, I brought something fun in. So I thought I'd do a little experiment with you. We have 15 minutes. This is a new product. They're on the market called Upneeq. Has anyone ever heard of it? Upneeq. UPNEEQ. Pharmaceuticals have very, very, very funny names. What this does is it opens your eyelids. Okay? So sometimes people have a droopy eyelid. One eyelid is droopier than the other. Okay? And of course they can go out and have eye surgery, an eyelid lift, and we probably have friends and family who have done that. But this is a drop that does the same thing. So I'm going to do it for you and see if you can see my eyes. Can you see my eyes, everybody? You might need to change to speaker view so that I'm larger. But I didn't use any drops, and they're kind of red right now. And this is what I look like. I'm going to put the drop in one eye, and then I'll keep talking, and after 5 minutes, you'll start to see the difference between the two. Okay? It's taken me 30 years to be able to do that really easy. Does anybody have problems putting drops in their eyes? Good. Okay, somebody does. When you do it, if you have a problem with it, can somebody set a timer 5 minutes? And then you'll see the difference between my right and left eye. But if you have trouble putting eye drops in, or you have to do it for somebody who has trouble, your husband, your grandchild, your daughter, son, clean face, wipe off the face. They lay down. They're laying down flat, and you have them close their eyes. And then you put the drop right here in the corner, and then you have them squeeze shut and then open, and it falls right in without any trauma. You don't have to hold them down, fight with them, easy peasy. Okay? So, are there any more questions?
I have a question about allergies and when your eyes burn or water, what's the best thing to do with that?
Allergies are seasonal. And in Arizona, we have something like 19 different seasons. So there are, first thing you do is try to eliminate the thing you're allergic to. Good luck. Good luck with that. All right. And hydrate, lots of water. There are multiple different brands of allergy eye drops on the market. Some of them were prescription and then they were changed to a different status. So Pataday is one of the ones that was historically prescription. Zatador used to be prescription. So you can purchase them. The pharmacist can usually help. It can be confusing when you're standing in there and there are like 12 different pretty colorful boxes. But Pataday is very good. So write that one down if you want to get one. That's a great one to get. And if it persists, you may need to see the eye doctor for an appointment. But if you can fix it at home, that's something simple. Now, one thing that I really didn't spend time on is dry eyes. And let me just tell you something, ladies. If you're female and you're over 40, you're going to experience some dry eye days because that's what happens. If you use the computer, it's more obvious. And there are multiple layers to dry eye. I could talk to you for 2 weeks on this subject. But let's just talk about a couple, maybe we'll break it down to 3 simple things. Well, maybe more than 3. Number 1, do not sleep in your makeup. Okay?
Right.
That's against the law. Okay. 1. Number 2, be careful if you're using any eye creams. So when you're using an eye cream, you want to put it like around the bone, follow the bone. And just gentle tapping. The heat of your body will move it in closer, but you really don't want to go in all over your eye because the lid is very thin and some of that product will go on top of your eye and be more of an irritant. Okay, so be careful with eye creams. There are plenty of over-the-counter eye drops, and I brought some samples here. This, we lose our samples we give our samples out so quickly. I only have one product here, but this is a eye drop that has both a lubricating wetness to it, but it also has an oil in it, and you need the oil to help lubricate the eye. And it's fine to use over-the-counter eye drops. There's a Refresh, Optive, there's a Complete product, and you want to use those as you needed, just like you would chapstick or hand cream. Okay, a couple times a day as needed. When it gets to and then the last thing is hot compresses, and I brought another prop here. This is a microwavable item that you can, you heat it up, it holds the heat 5 minutes. You need 5 minutes of continuous moist heat. Washcloths do not work. Okay, so invest in something like this. I think it's $20 or something like that. And 5 minutes of heat, moist heat, can really give you some relief.
5 minutes is up.
Okay, so here's the difference. Can you see a difference?
No, it's,
I can't either.
yeah.
Is it hard to tell with the screen and the zoom? I probably have too much background light. I can feel a difference. My eye is whiter and it feels more open. And I can feel the difference. I don't know if I get closer. Does that
And what
help?
was the benefit of that?
Well, the benefit is if you have a droopy eyelid, it makes
Oh,
them
okay.
more even. The other benefit is you look younger and more wide awake, and your eyes are whiter.
And is that over the counter?
No, it is prescription only.
Okay.
We do sell it in the office, but it is prescription only. But that's one of the new things that's out and been kind of fun. There are, again, if you're interested, look it up, and there's plenty of photos before and after about that. I thank you very much for your time. I can talk at length about anything, but for an hour, I wanted to give you a quick snapshot, a few things that you can do, and know that resources are there. If you have yourself something you didn't fix as a child and need to work on now, or if you're experiencing some difficulty in your world with driving, double vision, balance, reading problems, there are treatments in the form of vision therapy. Yes, question?
Yes, after I read for about an hour, I can't see very well anymore. But if I hold my glasses up above the ridge of my nose, I can see.
Okay, so
What's the deal with that?
that's are you wearing a progressive?
Yes.
Okay, so in a progressive lens, the best part of the lens for reading is down here. And it becomes, as we start, our head is up and we're looking at our reading material here. But then we get comfortable and we get casual and we kind of go like this and our head changes position. So we're not exactly looking through the right spot. And so if you are a reader, you love reading, then you probably need to have a prescription pair of reading glasses as well. And again, I have that. I have my progressive, my backup, my prescription sunglasses. I have my computer glasses.
Got a big purse.
I have actually, I have lots of glasses, so I have one at home and one in here. I don't have to carry them around.
Do I need to get my eyes examined again, or if I went to the place they could buy my prescription, what part they would use to make a reading glass?
Yes. Yes to all of that. If it's been more than a year since you've had an
It
eye,
hasn't.
then that's fine. So if then you would return to where you got your glasses, because there is a possibility that the progressive is not fitting you well and it might be too low. So they can look at that, and there might be that might need to be redone, but they could also then talk to you about another pair for reading only.
And they could use that same prescription.
They should know how to do it, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions?
I was wondering, I take a medication that dries everything up. Plus, I also have a CPAP, and my eyes some mornings are just full of what we used to call sleepy dirt. And I can't get them cleaned out, and I use Sustain all the time because I like it better than any of the others. So what can I do for that? Anything other than just keep using the drops?
Make sure it's Sustain Balance, that the one that has the oil in it, not just the plain Sustain. It has to have the oil in it. I brought a sample of this. Let's see if I can bring it into focus. There are things called lid cleanse wipes. So to get all those crusties off in the morning, you might need to have some kind of lid scrub or lid cleanse wipe. These are from OcuSoft. They also have bottles like this. I brought them for props as well. These are different cleansing products to clean off all those eye goobers. Okay? Now, at nighttime, because your eyes are drying out from both things, the CPAP and the medications, there are also lubricating, I think it's PM PM refresh, which is a
I've
nice
had that.
It's kind of like Vaseline looking. It's not Vaseline. Please don't put that in your eye.
Yeah.
Get the
Oh,
eye.
no, I've had the night one and with some stain too.
Yes.
The next day, my eyes are so cloudy, I can't see very good from
It's
it.
going to take a few moments when you wake up to
Yeah.
blink through that and everybody should, humans should do a lid cleanse at night and then lid cleanse in the morning. And then you might need some heat, like the moist heat in the morning to just get the oils moving. And it's sort of like you've ever seen olive oil in the refrigerator?
Oh, yes, it hardens up.
That's kind of like what's happening with your tears overnight time. So it will be quite blurry until you wake up and start blinking and move that around.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
And, also make sure that if anyone has ever noticed your eyes open when you sleep at night. So that's another problem that sometimes people have as we age, and with the CPAP, if it's pushing, then and your eye is slipping open at nighttime, that's going to exacerbate things. And so you could either use an eye mask that holds it closed. Some people use tape, like the medical grade tape that you would put on a wound to just hold the lids closed. So those are some options that may or may not work.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. DeSimone,
Yes.
can I email Pam to confirm the names of some of these product names that you've shared with us, just so we can share it out with the group? There's been a few questions rather than taking the time to repeat all of those. Would that be all right?
Absolutely.
Okay, wonderful. Well, we want to respect your time, and we are getting close to the end of the hour. We so appreciate this information. I think we're all like me, fastly, furiously writing down things to, like you said, to share with others and to implement ourselves. So thank you so very much for joining us and enlightening us in all of these different aspects that, again, we just don't know about. If the rest of the group can hang on, we do have a little bit of discussion about our charity basket that we need to discuss. But thank you so very much. We really appreciated your time.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.